morning, dear children. I welcome you all to Social Science online class. Standard 8, Civics, Unit 6. The topic is Defense and Foreign Policy. The topic is Defense and Foreign Policy. Before I could start this lesson, I would like to ask a few questions. Do you all ready, children? Yes, very good. Say a few words about our country, India. India is a great country, beautiful country and a peace-loving country. People speak different languages, but the national language is Hindi. India is full of different castes, creeds, religion and cultures, but they live together. That's the reason India is famous for the common saying of unity and diversity. India is the 7th largest country in the world and the 2nd most populous country next to China. Okay. Dear children, why our country, India, called as a peninsula, which is surrounded by water on 3 sides, land on 1 side. India is called as Indian Peninsula because it is surrounded by Indian Ocean on the south, Arabian Sea on the west, Bay of Bengal in the east. Dear children, the learning objectives of this lesson is the Indian Armed Forces, Paramilitary Defense Forces, Foreign Policies of India, India's relations with neighboring countries. Now, we will see the introduction of this lesson. India is a peace-loving country. India has always maintained cordial relationship with all the other countries in general and with its neighbors in particular. At the same time, it has to strengthen its security to defend its border from any foreign aggression. So, the government of India has given higher priorities to the defense sector. Now, let us understand the various defense forces of our country. First, we will see the need for defense system. Okay, national security is very essential for the political, social and economic development of any country. It is also most important for its growth of the country's peace and prosperity. The President of India, being the head of the state, occupies the highest position in our defense organization. Dear children, at present, who is the President of India? Yes, our Honorable President, Mr. Ramnath Kovind is the President of India. He is called as the first citizen of India. Dear children, we are also citizen of India. President also citizen of India. Why he is called as the first citizen of India? Because he is the head of the union government and also he is supreme commander of the armed forces in India. So, he is called as the first citizen of India. Now, the security forces in India can be divided into Indian Armed Forces, Paramilitary Forces and Central Armed Police Force. Now we will see Indian Armed Forces. The Indian Army is the land-based branch and the largest volunteer army in the world. It is commanded by the Chief of Army Staff, who is a 4-star general. The primary mission of the Indian Army is to ensure national security, national unity, defending the nation from external aggression, internal threats, and maintaining peace and security within its borders. It conducts humanitarian rescue operations during natural disaster and calamities. The Indian Army as a regimental system. It is operationally and geographically divided into 7 commands. Now we will see Navy. The primary objective of the Navy is to safeguard the nation's maritime borders and in conjunction with other armed forces of the nation or defeat any threats or aggression against the territory, people or maritime interests of India. The Chief of Naval Staff, a 4-star admiral, commands the Navy. It has 3 naval commands. Now we will see about Air Force. The Indian Air Force is the air arm of the Indian Armed Forces. Its primary mission is to secure Indian airspace and to conduct aerial warfare during armed conflict. The Chief of Air Staff and Air Chief Marshal is a 4-star officer and is responsible for the bulk of operational command of the Air Force. It has 7 commands. Now we will see Indian Coast Guard, ICG. The Indian Coast Guard was established in 1978 by the Coast Guard Act 1978 of the Parliament of India as an independent armed force of India. It operates under the Ministry of Defence. The Coast Guard works in close cooperation with the Indian Navy, the Department of Fisheries, the Department of Revenue, and the central and state police forces. Now we will see paramilitary defense forces. The forces which help in maintaining internal security, protecting the coastline and assisting the army are known as paramilitary forces. The responsibility is the security of important places like railway stations, oil fields, refineries, water reservoirs, lines. They also participate in the management of natural or man-made disasters. Dear children, mention some of the natural and man-made disasters. Yes, natural disasters are landslide, volcanic eruptions, lightning, tsunamis, hurricanes, earthquakes, etc. Man-made disasters are stampedes, fires, transport accidents, war, etc. During peacetime, the paramilitary forces also have the responsibility of protecting the international borders. They are Assam Rifles and Special frontier force. Now we will see Central Armed Police Forces. Following 5 forces which come under Ministry of Home Affairs were earlier considered paramilitary forces, but from March 2011 they have been reclassified as Central Armed Police Forces to avoid confusion. First one, we will see about Central Reserve Police Force. The mission of Central Reserve Police Force shall be to enable the government to maintain rule of law, public order, and internal security effectively and efficiently, to preserve national integrity and promote social harmony and development by upholding supremacy of the Constitution. Second one, Indo-Tibetan Border Police. It is a border guarding police force. This force is specialized in high altitude operations. It is deployed for border guarding duties from Ladakh to Arunachal Pradesh. Next one, Border Security Force. The Border Security Force is a border guarding force of India. This Border Security Force is charged with guarding India's land border during peacetime and preventing transnational crimes. Next one, Central Industrial Security Force. The Central Industrial Security Force was set up under an Act of the Parliament of India on 10th March 1969. Its duties are guarding sensitive governmental buildings, the Delhi Metro, and providing airport security. Last one, Special Service Bureau. This Special Service Bureau, in English, the Armed Border Force, is the border guarding force for Nepal and Bhutan border. Dear children, now we will see about Home Guard. Home Guards are recruited from various cross sections of the civil society, such as professionals, college students, agricultural and industrial workers, etc., who give their spare time for betterment of the community. All citizens of India in the age group of 18 to 50 are eligible. Normal tenure of membership in Home Guards is 3 to 5 years. To protect and guard our nation, our armed forces are always kept ready. Youth should come forward to service and save the nation by joining the armed forces. Dear children, recruitment to the defense services is open to all Indians. It is the duty to every citizen to have an opportunity to serve the country. Now we will see foreign policy of India. The basic principles of foreign policy: preservation of national interest, achievement of world peace, disarmament. Disarmament means reducing number of weapons. Abolition of colonialism, racism and imperialism. Colonialism refers to the policy of acquiring and maintaining colonies for exploitation of natural as well as human resources. The European countries adopted this policy during 1492 to 1763. Racism. It means the systematic oppression of a racial group to the social, economic, and political advantage of another. Imperialism means a country's domination over the political and economic interest of another nation to exploit its natural resources is called imperialism. Increasing the number of friendly nations and economic development. Now we will see about Panchashil. This Panchashil derived from Sanskrit words. Panch means 5, Shil means virtues, that is behavior. The 5 principles of peaceful coexistence between India and China. During that time in India, Jawaharlal Nehru was the Prime Minister of India. Zhou Enlai was the Prime Minister of China. They both signed on 28th April 1954, which stated that the two governments entered into an agreement based on the following principles. Mutual respect for each other's territorial integrity and sovereignty. Mutual non-aggression. Non-aggression means will not attack or try to harm a particular country. Mutual non-interference in each other's internal affairs. It means refusal to intervene without invitation, especially in political matters. Equality and mutual benefit, peaceful and coexistence. Now we will see non-alignment. The word non-alignment was coined by V.K. Krishna Menon. Non-alignment has been regarded as the most important feature of India's foreign policy. Non-alignment aimed to maintain national independence in foreign affairs by not joining any military alliance formed by the USA or Soviet Union in the aftermath of the Second World War. Non-alignment was neither neutrality nor non-involvement. It was a dynamic concept which meant not committing to any military bloc but taking an independent stand on international issues. Now we will see the founding fathers of non-aligned movement. Jawaharlal Nehru of India, Tito of Yugoslavia, Nasser of Egypt, Sukarno of Indonesia, and Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana. Jawaharlal Nehru. He was an Indian independence activist and subsequently the first Prime Minister of India. Tito. He served as the President of the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia from 14th January 1953 until his death on 4th May 1980. Nasser of Egypt. He was an Egyptian politician who served as the second president of Egypt from 1954 until his death in 1970. Sukarno of Indonesia. He was an Indonesian politician who was the first president of Indonesia, serving from 1945 to 1967. Kwame Nkrumah. He was a Ghanaian politician and revolutionary. He was the first Prime Minister and President of Ghana, having led the Gold Coast to independence from Britain in 1957. Now we will see about Nelson Mandela. He was the leader of the African National Council of South Africa, a determined fighter against apartheid. Apartheid is the worst form of racial discrimination. It is against humanism and democracy. India fought against apartheid and opposed all types of racial discrimination. Dr. Nelson Mandela fought against all traces of racial injustice in South Africa, including laws denying the Africans the right to vote. He was imprisoned for 27 years. The end of racialism in South Africa in 1990 was a great success for India's policy. Later, he became the President of the Republic of South Africa in 1994. Now, we will see India's relations with neighboring countries. Okay. India's position unique in its neighborhood. India has always favored international and regional cooperation because India believes that through cooperation all disputes and problems among nations can be sorted out peacefully. India's foreign policy is based on the principle of developing friendly relations and cooperation with their neighbors. India is a largest country. India is a vast country with these are the neighboring countries of India. Now see the neighboring countries of India, children. Pakistan, Afghanistan, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Sri Lanka and Maldives. Now we will see SAARC. The abbreviation for SAARC is South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation. SAARC is an economic and geopolitical organization of 8 countries. How many countries? 8 countries that are primarily located in South Asia. Where it is located? It is located in South Asia. The SAARC policies aim to promote welfare economics, collective self-reliance among the countries of South Asia to accelerate socio-cultural development of the region. Okay. The SAARC Disaster Management Center was set up at New Delhi. New Delhi is the capital of India. Dear children, the member countries of the SAARC are India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka and Maldives. Now we will see Act East policy. Southeast Asia begins with Northeast India. Myanmar is our land bridge to the countries of the association to the Southeast Asian nations. The purpose is to ensure a stable and multipolar balance of power in the Indo-Pacific and to become an integral part of Asia. BCIM. This Bangladesh, China, India, Myanmar economic corridor envisages the formation of a thriving economic belt focusing on cross-border transport, energy and telecommunication networks. BBIN. Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal has signed a framework to enable movement of passengers, cargo vehicles and for energy development. Now I conclude this lesson by saying that India is a huge country with manifold cultures. It has high status in the Southeast Asia. India's foreign policy is to maintain peace, freedom and mutual cooperation among the nations. Though India is not in any major military alliance, our relations with the major powers have acquired a strategic depth. Dear children, you may better understand the Indian Armed Forces, Paramilitary Defense Forces, foreign policy of India, India's relation with neighboring countries. Thank you children. God bless you all.